Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rise Responder podcast. With me today is Mr. Chris Barrett. Chris is a former EMT with Louisville Metro EMS in Louisville, Kentucky. And Chris had an incident in which created some real hardships for him over the last few years, and has been working his way through those. And we're going to talk a little bit about those today. Welcome to the Rise Responder podcast, Chris.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor to mine.
Absolutely. Well, it's an honor to share your story because the big thing about it is, Chris, your story is important. And while it is certainly unique to you, struggles that we have in our business through various things that occur are not unique.
Mhm.
We all have something that we face that is the challenge. And
Yeah.
it's time we start talking about them. So I know you've kind of talked about some of your stuff. So I want to help share your story because there's people out there that have had something, like I said, similar to what's happened to you, that it will help them to hear how you've come through it. So, Chris, tell me a little bit about what got you started in doing emergency response.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I started because my life changed and it kind of shaped my life when I was 17 on February 15th, 2008. Um, it was a normal school day for me. I think I don't really remember a whole lot, but um, I got home on the school bus and in the driveway was an ambulance and there was a sheriff's deputy car and everything. And the door was open. And so immediately I was, that's pretty out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Who expects to come home from school and an ambulance just sitting in their driveway?
yeah. So I go in the door and my mom is there crying hysterically. And there was an EMT and I think a sheriff deputy trying to talk with her. And I come to find out what had happened was my father collapsed in front of her and died in front of her. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so what happened was he had congestive heart failure and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't really take care of himself too good. He did what he could, but it's still, he was in pretty bad health and he had a very stressful job and he just went to change the windshield wipers on his truck and came back in and sat down in the bed and just collapsed. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, first
So,
off, let me just say that I am sorry for that loss. I know that's been several years ago, but anytime you lose a parent or someone that's really close to you like that, those are scars and losses that stay with you for the rest of your life. So, first
yes,
off,
sir.
I do apologize for that.
Thank you.
That's a tough thing for you and the rest of your family to deal with. But um, what that did was that created some sort of interest in the helping professions. Tell me a little bit about
Yes.
that.
So when I was there and everyone was there, the EMTs were there, I went back and I seen my dad and he was laying there. I didn't know anything about anything at the time I was 17.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand why no one was doing anything. And he had an OPA in his mouth and he was just laying there and no one was helping him. I was angered, incredibly angered. Um, so as time went on and had, had time to heal, of course, I graduated high school and went to work and everything. And I still just had that curiosity, like, why, you know? And so someone I work with was a volunteer firefighter and he was talking to me about it. And it was really interesting to me because I did want to help people. And so I started doing that. And then that got me interested in EMS. And I thought, maybe if I could do something to make a difference, I could help some other kid not go through what I went through by helping their parent. So I joined the Taylorsville Spencer County Fire Department, and I was there for a few years, but I never could really do as much as I wanted to with them as far as training and runs response and everything because I had to work. I had no money, so
Yep.
uh, I needed to work.
Got to
Um,
survive.
yeah. And so during that time, I went to school with Yellow Ambulance, back when they were a thing, way a long time
Oh
ago.
yeah.
And I was there for probably a few months, and it was really interesting. It really caught my attention. I liked listening to the instructors and what they had to say, and stories they had to tell, and everybody was in the class and everything. But again, because of my need for money and work and everything, I had to drop out or get out of that or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of dabbled for a long time, and then I was there. But I always wanted to work in EMS. And when I was working in Louisville, I decided that I wanted to work for Louisville Metro EMS because to me, that was and still is the best service in the area. And
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that I could, I could make it big there, and I want to do that. So I worked different jobs, and I actually drove a dump truck for a few years. And then I seen that Louisville Metro was putting on an academy, and with no experience needed, they'll pay you and everything. And I thought, this is it. This is my chance. So um, that was the April of 2018. Um, and so I applied, got in, and started the academy. And it was incredible. It was amazing. I made
Good
friends for
experience.
life.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh man, it was great. It was the largest academy they had, if ever, if or in a long time, if not ever. There was 40 of us, I think. Um,
Wow. That's a big
yeah,
class.
it was huge, man. It was awesome. It was great. It was so fun. Um, it was just incredible. And I forget how many graduated. Most everybody graduated in August that year. Yeah, August. And so I was partnered up with someone from my class, Chris Haberlin, very great man and very admirable, very knowledgeable. And we were partners up in October, and we worked up until well, our accident in the beginning of January 2019. So,
Wow. So October of 2018. Now I'm
hmm
hearing just 3 months later,
yeah,
you had an accident.
yeah.
So tell me what you know about that day in January.
Well, I'll try my best to get it right. I'm sure someone will correct me if I get anything wrong. But um, so it was a normal shift from what I remember, and this is about oh man, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. I know it was cloudy and kind of rainy. Um, and we went to pick up this woman, I think it was at a bank, who was like high on meth and she was just tripping. Um, and so the cops were there and we had to take her to the hospital because, the jail won't take them if they're intoxicated. So um, we were going to Audubon. And on the way to Audubon, on the Waterson there, right around the Bells Lane exit, she saw a cop car that was following us, and she started to wig out. Like she was sitting on the stretcher, and she just like, they're following us, they're following us. No, I was in the back with her. She was my patient, and I was like,
Oh
no,
yeah.
no, they're fine, they're fine. They're just going somewhere else. Boom. She wouldn't listen, so um, she actually got out of the seatbelts and stood up and tried to open up the back door while we were bumping down the highway. And at that point, I asked Chris to come back in the back and help me get her, back in the stretcher. Um, excuse me, and he did. So he pulled over, let dispatch know what was going on, turned on our lights, and climbed up in the side door. And that's the last thing that I remember. And I think I came back to complete reality of what was going on a day later, maybe. Um, and come to find out that, waking up in the hospital, I was very sore. I had my contacts in for multiple days because I put them in the shift before or the night before the shift, and my eyes just hurt. And then I just like, wow, I feel like shit. What the hell happened? And I'm looking around, and I just see the most random and weird. collection of people I never thought would be in the same room. Like my mom was there, my brother was there, some friends from high school were there, my girlfriend at the time who became my wife, and then like a major. And I was like, "Ooh, what the hell is this about?" And they told me what happened, and they showed me pictures and stuff, and didn't really set in at that point. The main thing that was in my mind is I just wanted to see Chris to make sure he's okay. Um,
Hmm.
and he came over to my room sometime later, I think, and it was good to see him. I was really happy to see him, and I was very grateful to hear that in the process of the accident, no one else was really severely injured, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Um, so what they said had happened is was shortly after we pulled over, cars were going around us and there was a big queue of traffic. And this dump truck oddly enough, this dump truck that was coming along, apparently he was speeding at like 70 miles an hour and also extremely overloaded with, I think it was 90,000 pounds of scrap concrete. Um, he decided that it would be better instead to just work his way plowing through the cars. He went to the right to the emergency lane where we were parked, and I'm very grateful that he did that, of course. Um, and when that happened, what happened was our truck was in a stop position, and he hit the left back corner of our truck, and he hit it like this and started pushing it forward, but also started ripping it in half. So it completely bifurcated our ambulance. He also is turning to the left. So as he's turning, Chris and I are both ejected. Um, I think I found out that Chris was ejected about 15, 20 feet. And then I was ejected straight down in between the two vehicles. And they knew that because the passenger side diesel tank on the dump truck had ruptured and it just spilled all the fuel all over me. Um, so the vehicles are moving along. We get ejected. The roof of the ambulance falls on me, and the dump truck ends up swerving to the side of a semi truck, which pushes both that truck and the semi truck into four cars on his left, and then all of that is rear-ended by another dump truck. Um, all it like,
Wow.
yeah, and so we were ejected. I was ejected and covered up, and our patient was reported to still be in the stretcher. So I guess we got her in the stretcher, and she was reported to be seen coming out of the stretcher, but busting up out of that stretcher and running down the side of the highway. So,
I think I would at that point too. I would be like, I
oh
am
yeah,
getting out.
oh
I'm
man,
assing quickly.
yeah,
not because I'm in trouble or anything, but because, oh man, I just escaped death. I'm getting as far away from it as I can.
yeah. And I just think like, man, she was already tripping balls. Can you imagine
Yeah,
that? um,
I couldn't. Oh my gosh, yeah. It reminds me. It seems like I remember a scene of something that happened somewhere, um, in one of the movies, and I can't remember. Oh,
mhm.
well, I don't know. Um, Bringing Out the Dead. Have you ever watched that movie?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, I think every EMS professional has, and if they
Yeah.
haven't, I'm going to put in a plug right now. You need to go watch Nicolas Cage and Bringing Out the Dead. It's
Oh my
absolutely
God.
hilarious. Him, Ving Rhames. It's a hilarious movie.
It's the best. Yeah.
Especially for now. I'll have to tell you, I have been in the EMS since 2001. I've been in
Oh
emergency
wow.
response since 2000. So, I'm a lifer. I've been
Hmm.
doing this since the turn of the century, and I remember watching when I first began my career in EMS. I remember watching Bringing Out the Dead in like 2002, 2003 with some friends at work of all places, and they're like, "Oh man." Every time we watch this movie, something bad happens. I'm like, why are
Hmm.
you watching that then? But one of those things, rite of passage. But I
Yeah.
remember, there was that crazy that drug addicted guy that would just randomly show up and
Yeah.
something crazy would happen to the crew, and he would just look up around and take off. And I had to remember that exact scene. I'm gonna have to watch it now because it sounds
Hmm.
about right.
Yeah.
Somebody is high on some sort of drug, and um, you just give them the opportunity, and they're gonna run. They're gonna
Oh
run. It's
yeah.
just gonna happen.
Oh
So,
yeah.
at any rate, back to your story. Um,
Okay.
so the crew took off, or the patient took off uninjured, and
Hmm.
you're laid under the roof of one of these ambulances. Now, a lot of people,
Hmm.
if you don't understand ambulance design, a lot of ambulances are built with, just basically aluminum. It's like a tin can, just aluminum box that's just tack welded together. You think of a cube. You got six pieces. So anytime some type of heavy exertional force, strikes one of those ambulances, unless you're dealing with like a unibody design, like what like the Braun ambulances and some of the other makers are doing now. But when it's like that, and you've got just little bitty tack welds keeping the truck together, when it takes a big amount of force, it'll just rip open like a can, and
Hmm.
and that's exactly what happened to you.
Yeah.
Um, so you're laid up under this metal, getting covered in diesel fuel. Um, Tell everybody what happened next. That that,
No.
that you were.
Right. Well, they did tell me that they did find the patient running down Dixie Highway, so that's cool for her. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
which I'm thinking Dixie Highway, that's at least 3 miles away. So
yeah. If
she
I
was
remember
booking.
correctly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
She was
She
booking.
she said, "Yep." She said, "I am unassing this entire place as far
Oh
away as I
yeah.
can get."
Oh yeah.
So, but so of course, what you remember. So you were transported to university um,
Yes.
there in Louisville. Um,
Yes.
but the next thing you remember is like a day later. So tell me a little bit about what you were discovered to have had wrong with you, and kind of going through your course of treatment.
Um, well, it turns out that by the grace of God, I was the most severely injured, and I say that because I'm very thankful for that, and I thank God every day for that. Um, because there were some children involved in the cars and stuff, And I tend to think like if it was gonna happen to somebody that day regardless, I'm glad it was me. So what happened was not a whole lot, honestly. um, but I have two bilateral skull fractures, one here and one back here.
That's a lot,
And
man.
well, they were
That's a lot.
closed, so they were
Oh,
closed, so
wow.
it's not, yeah, And I developed, or I just sustained a really bad concussion on the side here, one of the worst ones you can get. Um,
Without
and
actually having to bleed itself, right?
yeah, and then there was, I think, two subdural hemorrhages um, that ended up resolving themselves. And other than that, besides this scar on my elbow right here, that's it. Like, I don't know where this came from, but it was just a little laceration. Um, but other than that, that's it. I wasn't, squished. I wasn't have my all my limbs. I wasn't paralyzed. Thank goodness. No epilepsy at all. Any kind of seizure. So I'm very, very lucky and very
Yeah,
blessed.
that's remarkable, actually, considering the
Yeah.
circumstance. That's remarkable. So very,
Right.
very grateful for that, Chris.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So,
Uh,
course of stay in the hospital.
mhm.
Afterwards, what happened, man? What'd you do?
I would just like to also say that during the hospital, in my quasi-consciousness state, apparently I requested nothing but chocolate frosties. So I think I
It's
was
reasonable.
yeah, I was told that I received like 20 frosties in a day or more, maybe. And my manager or my major was like, "Listen, I need you to stop asking for frosties." And I was so confused because I was like, I'm not doing that. And he was like, "Yeah, I've had to take many trucks out of service to go get you a frosty. Please stop." So I was
Hey,
like,
man.
"Okay."
Now, listen. Here's the thing, though. Those crews were probably like, "Hey, anytime he hollers for one, call me. I got you."
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I know Louisville enough to know that anytime a crew can go down for even 20 minutes to take a
Oh
little
yeah.
breather, I'm sure they're happy to do it.
Oh my God, yeah, especially nowadays.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
but anyways, so I was discharged from the hospital and went back, and I was put into Fraser Neuro Rehab, a really great program. They did speech therapy and occupational therapy, and then just psychotherapy. So it was a really good program. It lasted 6 months because I was recovering for 6 months. Um,
Hmm.
so I did that, and then during that time, I learned how to handle some things, and which I've forgotten since then. But
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's, that's
that's
part of the journey.
it is. That is one of the after my accident. I did have retrograde amnesia, but now I'm just forgetful, so it's gonna stick with me for life. And I think that's the only thing. So if that's the only deficit that I come away with, I'm happy for that. Um,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Because we both know that there are a lot of people out there that aren't quite that fortunate. So
right.
um,
Exactly.
definitely something to be grateful for in terms of you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So so did you get back into EMS or did you step away from it? What exactly happened?
I went back to EMS. I went back to, and because I was still employed with Louisville, I came back and I went back with them because I still had that call, that desire to help people. And so I worked there from when I got back in July. But it kind of sucks because I got back for a month and then my gallbladder had to be removed, so I was down out for another couple weeks after that.
Yeah.
um,
Well, that's just great.
heck of a year, huh? But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. But after that, I was back and I stayed there until the summer of 2021. So I got to work through
Good.
the dumpster fire of 2020, and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
it
So
was
how did that work out for you? So yeah, you come back in the
mhm,
summer of 2019.
yep,
Um, just a few months later, we started hearing the whispers of this COVID thing,
yeah,
and by the early part of 2020, we're in full on panic mode in the United States because it's jumped shores, and
hmm
we're facing something that I don't think any one of us that were involved in. Well, I think anybody in the world period doesn't want to deal with it again, but especially those of us in healthcare because it
right,
really taxed us then and continues to tax us to this day.
yep, exactly. It's
So
terrible.
you worked until sometime in 2021. You said
Yes,
July,
sir.
maybe.
June,
Okay,
I think. Yeah,
June. Okay.
yeah,
So what'd you
yeah.
do? What happened?
Well, I got partnered up with one of my best friends, Marcus, and we were just great. Just really awesome dynamic between the two of us. And we got partnered up, I think, in January of 2020. And our very first run together was a double homicide. So we were like, this is going to go either one or two ways, good or really bad. And it went
Yeah.
pretty good for the most part. But we had quite the experiences. Um, yeah.
I bet
But
you
oh yeah, we mostly worked in the West End, so got a lot of crazy stuff.
did.
But
Yeah, it's a rough area for sure.
it definitely can be very busy, very very bad with drugs and gang violence and stuff. Um, but anyways, yeah, it was interesting. It was fun though. I really do miss it. I miss the monkeys, but not really the circus. You know, um, but the
That's a
job
good
was
way of
incredible.
putting it. That's really no, it's good. It's good because um, you're absolutely right. Some days, more days than not anymore, it seems like it is a circus. It's an
hmm
absolute circus, running back and forth, taking care of a variety of patients, and that's where you find your joy. Right, you find your
Yeah,
joy in just caring for humanity. But man, just the rigmarole of going back and forth like that and just really struggling to um, to manage it, right? Because
Right.
my gosh, you run like mad, and you're just exhausted because you can't really even.
Hmm.
And we talk about that. That's kind of a common theme within the first responder world, and it's a common theme within our discussions here. Is that you can't finish one without having to go to the next.
Yep.
So yeah, I can definitely understand your thought um, that you miss the monkeys, but or you yeah you miss the monkeys, but you don't miss the circus. I can see that totally see
Yeah.
that. It's a good
Uh,
analogy. Good analogy.
Thank you.
So yeah, so June of 2021, you
Hmm.
get out of EMS, and why?
Well, um, I forgot to mention that also in December of 2019, my son was born. So it was a very big year.
Yeah,
he was,
my
he was
God.
born. He was born on Christmas Eve. Um,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, yeah, it was great. So he's a wonderful little guy. And so um, June 2021 was around. After 2020, with a baby, especially, my wife and I were looking for a place to move to and to live. And we just needed to find the right place. Um, and she found it in Cox's Creek. She found this beautiful farm with this beautiful house. And it's kind of ironic though. This house was built in 1899, originally as a hospital. So
Really?
it's yeah, it's cool. It's even got the foundation of the original crematory that we think. This just little yeah. I tell you though,
Uh,
it's the most peaceful place. People think hospitals are these super haunted, icky vibe place. No, it's so peaceful. And I think because when everybody goes into a hospital, the thing they're putting out the most is hope because they're like, "Ah, I hope, you know, this person makes it, or I hope I go home soon, or whatever. So, but it's incredible. The thing is, two things are the reason why I got out. One is because there was a run that I made, and I was with a paramedic, a really good friend of mine, and we went to this 1080 call, which is a person found dead. Um, and this guy had overdosed on heroin in his bathroom, and his three kids were in the next room. And I think his oldest daughter found her, and she was like, I want to say a young teenager, and the youngest was about 4, I think. Um, and I found myself, because I knew what to do, which is nothing, I found myself standing around doing nothing while these kids' dad are is dead in the next room. And I had the realization that I became, or I am, the thing that I did not want to be the most. Just standing there doing nothing and leaving family members with questions rather than answers. Even though, we tried to explain to the oldest daughter what happened, and she was pretty cool about it. Not cool, but she was handling it well. I think this guy's addiction was taking a toll on everybody, and
yeah.
it was kind of expected.
Yeah. She didn't necessarily understand the process of addiction, but she understood that
Mm,
it was just something that was part of
yeah,
their life. Like it was like you said, it was kind of normal to them.
yeah,
That type of lifestyle and that sort of uh, reality was normalized
hmm,
to her.
right. And I just thought to myself, this is not good. I need to get out of this because it's going to end very poorly. And I was also having some other issues for some runs at that time, a lot of issues like PTSD issues, which I was diagnosed with. But one in particular was me and my partner Marcus were going home, and we had called out of service. We weren't in service, and we were on the interstate, and I took this. I think it was the Woodbine exit, exit 134, and
Mm-hmm.
Something told me to just go that way because I was going to go Broadway and just go to the old division that way, but something told me to go that way. He said, I need you to go this way. So I did, and we went up a few blocks and turned, and we came to the end of the street, and there was a crowd of people in the street kind of walking up towards this house. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? So we turned on our lights and had them log us back in and called it in and everything. And there was about 15, 20 people out there. And I was driving, so my partner decided to go in the house and see what was going on. And I handled the radio and went to the back and got everything opened up in case we had a patient. And I looked out the door and I seen him running out with a lifeless 6-month-old boy.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and yeah, um, so we happened upon probably one of the worst things that you can. And we were there by ourselves. And, the crowd seen what was going on. So they were all upset and crying. And the parents were, everyone there was cool. Like no one was threatening. But when he set the kid down, he looked just like my son, even though he was a different race. He had the same curly hair, about the same age. Um, he looked just like him. And I froze. And I thought, I just got lost in his face. And I still see his face most every day. Um, and I froze for like maybe 10 seconds, but it felt a lot longer. And then, we started working them, called it in, and everyone is just crying outside. It's just so stressful and overwhelming, that whole
Yeah.
situation. And we're there by ourselves. But like I said, everyone was cool and fine, but we're just being there alone because normally on something like that, you've got fire, you've got police there setting up a route and being there with you, and you've got a lot of support, but it's just the two of us. And it just felt so small and overwhelming.
Hmm.
But eventually everyone showed up. Some supervisors showed up who were paramedics, and we took the kid to the children's, and I did chest compressions the whole way. Um, don't really know what happened, but they ended up calling him at the hospital, and I think maybe he might have aspirated, but that one, that one was really rough for me. And
Sure.
the other thing was just becoming the person I didn't want to be. I had to get out.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when people have have that conflict within themselves, it's we talk about moral injury, right? Like
Mhm.
when you do things, um, and it's the right thing to do, but you feel like there's something more there that could be done, like, or you find yourself in a situation where you're doing something because it's what you have to do, but you know that the end result could have negative connotations, right?
Right.
It's doing something that just it creates a big conflict in your soul, as a
Hmm.
human being, and
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
So you exited the profession. So what are you doing
Yes.
now?
I exited. We bought our farm in June, and then I started going as a mail carrier, but I was only working the weekends, and so I would have all week basically to do nothing. My wife was still working, um, and then my son was with his grandparents who live with us because we have an in-law suite, um,
Hmm.
and so I would take him over there to be with them, and I would just disappear because I developed an addiction to porn, and I would just watch it like 4 or 5 times a day, and that's all that I would think about. And just one day, about 6 months later, I just had the realization that I'm just not worth it anymore. I am very bad off. And my wife was like, I think you need to do another job because this extra time you have is not healthy. You know, I was, and still am to this day, kind of a piece of shit to her sometimes. And God love that woman. She's an incredible person to have stuck with me through all this, let alone to be with me a few months, because we got together, I think, in September 2018. A few months later, had this life-changing event. She stuck with me, stuck it out. So, um, that's just, I developed that, and I still have a lot of guilt and shame for that, for other things, but for that in particular to this day, which I'm still trying to work on forgiving myself. Um, so, anyways, after that realization, I decided to go back to the thing I was comfortable with and really, really enjoyed, which was driving a truck. So I thought, you know what? I think I need to show myself that I can master this thing that pretty much almost killed me. So I'm going to drive a truck. And that's
Mhm.
what I did. I went to CDL school and I got my Class A. And I started off driving locally for a while, I think in like 2022. But then I just like, I got to go on the road. I got this, I can't support a family like this. So I went on the road with a different company in 2023. And during that time, being alone for a week at a time, it could have been very bad, but I was able to tackle my addiction and get a handle on it. And I would say that today I don't want to say like completely rid of it because it's still there, but in a much more realistic sense. Like I'm like the sense like every human does has,
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think when you work on, like you said, you have that realization that you have a problem. You go to
mhm.
work on it. You start looking at things from a very objective and fact based point of view. You
Yeah,
start saying, okay, this is an issue that I need to address, and so here's how I'm going to do it. And whatever means with which you decide to do that, you know, you start, like you said, you start focusing on that. You start focusing
mhm.
on that process, right?
Right,
So
right.
so what did you do? So you realized you had this addiction, and you realized that because that's what this podcast is all about, Chris. Is it's about people experiencing struggles and having a realization that they've got issues, and they found a way out, because that's what I want to do here. That's what this family of responders is about for me,
Mm,
is to look at the fact that we're not alone in our
right,
struggles. We all face some sort of problem. Um, none of us are immune to that.
exactly.
For the longest time, it was always a concept of, well, this is your job. You're going to have to suck it up and deal with it. It's
Man
not
up.
working.
Hmm.
It's not working. It didn't work then. It's not working now. And we've got to learn how to take better care of ourselves. So, in these struggles, how can we equip each other with the tools to overcome the battles that we face? And so, you had this realization. What did you do?
Yep. Well, I went on the road. I had a lot of time to think and to listen to what I guess you could say the spirit was trying to tell me. And so during that time, my wife made it a stipulation that if I'm going on the road, I'm going to be active because she doesn't want me to see like the typical truck driver, overweight, diabetes, and all that shit.
Right.
So I put down my phone and I picked up some weights and I started being active. And that started something like, man, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy working out and being active and eating healthy and taking vitamins and taking care of myself and reading books. So that's what I did. I picked up healthy habits instead of unhealthy habits. So, and now I work out 5 days a week and I do yoga and I try to eat as healthy as I can, cut out sugars and read books. Put your phone down is the biggest thing that I can think, within reason, is the biggest thing I could think to tell someone who is struggling with something like this is put your phone down and look within yourself and listen for an answer from the universe, from God, from whatever you want to call it. I mean, it'll tell you what you have to do. You just got to listen.
That's I recorded with a gentleman, a pastor, a few weeks ago, and one of the things that the purpose of our discussion was not really to discuss religion, because that's a whole deep subject that I don't want to broach that and somebody not really feel comfortable with that. But what I did want to approach was the aspect of spirituality, because anyone that
Yeah.
is alive has a soul. Anyone that is
Yes.
alive has some sort of spirituality. You
Yes.
do. Even if
Hmm.
it's that you don't have a belief in a deity, you have some sort of spiritual predisposition.
Hmm.
And so I really like what you said there. I like that you said put your phone down and look within yourself. Don't look for answers or information in this phone. You look at what's inside you, what matters to you, and it's funny. My fiance and I got a dog about, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago. And like, one of my favorite things to do, as much as it's annoying to get ready to go do it, is to take the dog out and just walk around and see the world around me. Like, really kind
Hmm.
of pay attention to the things, because it gets me out of my head,
Hmm.
because it's really easy to get right here.
Oh yeah.
So I got myself out of my head. I got to go see stuff, and it just really it made a big impact on how I view the world. It kind of took me away from that negative world view that I have so much. I think we all
Hmm.
do with our jobs, because I could go down a brief summary of the runs that I did on my last shift, and yeah, man, it's really deep. It's really heavy sometimes. So
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that you said to put your phone down. I think we all need a dose of that medicine,
Yeah.
getting unconnected or somewhat disconnected digitally. I think
I
so.
think so. I
So,
think so too.
so another thing, you said you started doing yoga. That's something
Hmm.
I'd like to. I would really like to talk to somebody about that in the future. So anybody that's listening to these episodes that has some experience in yoga and how you can kind of get people like us first responders to get involved in that, we'll have to talk about that. But so, how
Hmm.
did you get started in getting yoga as part of your routine?
Well, I found something. I get on Pinterest a lot, and
Okay,
I
all right.
thought, it's probably a good idea because I'm 35 to do something to where I stretch and try to build some kind of mobility in my joints, even though I do lift weights. Something that is more beneficial in the long run, for my body. And I feel like yoga is that. Um, because like, you sit there and you do these different poses and all this stuff, and it stretches you out, and it's a good thing to do, especially when you're young. You can probably, you know, deal away with a lot of issues in the future if you just get up and do it. So,
Yeah.
um,
How much
yeah,
of it do
that's
you do, and how often?
normally what I do is like a warm up. I do it 5 days a week, in the mornings before I lift weights. I'll do a little pre-stretch, and then I also do yoga during that time too. The actual poses, not just stretches. And yeah, it's just like right before I lift weights, and it's really helpful. I get up
Wow.
every day at 4 a.m. and I start doing that, and it is a really great way to wake up or get going because it's quiet. There's nobody in the house. We have a chicken that stays with us in our house at night, and she's like
Okay.
watching me. Yeah, she's like this big. So, uh, yeah, she like watches me and judges me, whatever, and that's it.
And you do it, chicken.
Yeah, right. So, and then I go out into the garage and I get on the weights, and it is just a great way to start the day. And it does a lot of things for you. But ultimately, the biggest thing is changing your diet up. It's also, if you get stuff that complements your microbiome in your gut, your gut mood is going to improve and change much better, or a lot over quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, words are hard.
It's okay. It's okay. That's no, and I'll tell you, you listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm not dogging anybody for what they do,
Hmm.
but with enhancements and AI and all that good stuff, it really takes away some of the natural feel to it. And I think that's the one thing that I want here is I want this to be genuine. I want this to be real. And if it's raw and it doesn't sound all that great all the time, that's okay because
Yeah.
we live in a real world. We live in a raw world. I think
Yep.
it's important for people to see everyone that participates in this for who they are and where they come from. And I don't want to pull that fluff because honestly, it just takes away from the genuineness of it. And I think that's what this needs to be is genuine.
All right.
So
Yeah.
no worries, no worries. So Chris, where are you right now? How's your family with everything that's going on? How's life treating you right now?
It has improved greatly. I still drive truck for a living, but I'm not on the road. I work in Louisville, and the only thing I carry is used empty bourbon barrels. And my customer that I'm dedicated to is a cooperage, and it's the best place. I love the people there are great. The work is great. I get to go to distilleries and pick them up and everything. Um,
Oh yeah,
it's one of those things where you look forward to going to work every day, and it's incredible. Um, our family is doing really good. Things are improving with my wife and I, and they're still it's still a rocky roller coaster at times, but it's getting better, so much
yeah,
better.
yeah.
My son is doing great. He's 5, and he's a big guy. He's he's 5, and I think he's like 65 pounds right now. And
Wow.
about a month and a half ago, we started doing jujitsu together, and it's rough, but it's so fun. He's really good at arm bars.
Hey,
Uh,
watch out, Dad. He's
oh
coming
man,
for you, and he'll get as big as you one day. So you just
he's he's gonna be bigger. I'm not that tall. He's gonna be super tall. Yeah.
well,
So
that's awesome. I'm so glad that your family's doing well, and man, you are all healing. And you're
yeah.
recovering. One thing I like to say it's a common theme. With everybody because we all go through this, right? So anybody that's had any sort of addiction, they
Hmm.
know that that addiction is right around the corner. It's lurking in the shadows, and you're either in active addiction or you're in recovery. But
Yep.
that process, that addiction is always there, So
Yep.
uh, it's an everyday thing, and anybody that's listening out there that struggles, know that you can heal, but just remember you have to continue to put in the work because it's always going to be there. It's always going to lurk. So
Yep.
the work can be done. The work can be done. It's like like Chris has said here. It's a daily mindset thing. It's a daily routine. You get up and you go do the yoga, or you go eat healthy, or you pick up a book instead of your phone. There's always something little that you can do each and every day, and that you kind of have to do in order to keep yourself healthy. So, um, Chris, man, we are at the 50-minute mark here. This is about where I like to leave them because I like to leave it where it doesn't get too terribly long. Gives people an opportunity to listen to them um, on their way to and from work. I think most of us have, a few minute commute. So
Yeah.
these kind of episodes, they can listen to it, go to work, come home, finish it up. So, uh,
Right.
Chris, as we close here today, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of have the final word. I want you to tell all of our listeners um, one thing. If you could tell any first responder one thing that would help them to really find their way to healing, what would it be?
Just keep going. Don't listen to the loud, invasive thoughts in your head. The quiet, subtle, healing ones, they're there. You just have to listen for them and trust the process. It's going to take a long time. It's taken me years, if not more. You know how many years it's been, and I'm still going through it. It is possible, and you can do it. And I promise you're not alone. This is what this is about. You're not alone. Find somebody to talk to, journal, just get those thoughts out of your head and keep going forward.
Fantastic words. Folks, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Rise Responder podcast. I've had Chris Barrett with me, a former EMT who has found his way through a horrendous circumstance to find a better life for himself and his family. So I look forward to talking to you again, Chris, maybe on a little more casual level, because your journey is certainly not done, and you're an inspiration to many people. So thank you so much for spending some time with me here today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
Yes, sir.